Okay, so welcome everybody. Thank you for attending our Transformational Healing Seminar. Our topic this evening is really very important because a lot of people have a lot of questions about lasers, right? So a lot of people don't know what the lasers are. We're going to discuss that in detail. But the whole purpose of our seminars is really what? Is it for more information?
Yeah.
Is it? You've seen some of our seminars.
Yes.
Do you really need more information? Can't you just Google everything?
Yeah, we
Right.
need accurate information.
Right. And also, you know what's even more important than information? We are here to share with you principles. Principles are natural laws that allow you to filter information throughout them. Because if you only have information and you have the wrong principles, you will misinterpret the information. You get it? So my goal for you this evening is to make sure you're not only knowledgeable, but you're also aware of how things work in life, so you can then make good decisions about not only your healthcare but about your life. The number one cause of death in today's world, it's not heart disease, it's not cancer, right? It's ignorance. It's not having the proper information. By having the wrong information, you make wrong decisions. Does that make sense? So in the olden days, before we had GPS, what did we used to have? Maps. You actually had to engage in it, look at it, visualize where you're going, right? And you actually connected to nature. You actually connected to the environment. Today, everything is just done for you, correct? And so we don't really use our brains the way we're supposed to. And also, if you think about the TV programming, right, that you see all the time, most of it are commercials about what you should take, number one. Number two, you don't even know what they're telling you is true, correct? When we're all about the same age here, though, but when we were growing up, it was about what was happening in the neighborhood, what was really happening in Washington, and probably most of it was true. Now people just make stuff up so that they could sell you a product. You know what I mean? So the most important thing what they do is they try to scare you. Think about the news, right? Do they ever report good news?
Not often.
No. And then it's like a quick slip of it, but the 90% of it, 99% of it is bad news. Why? What's the purpose?
Scare you.
Yes, if they get you adrenalized and you're in fight, flight, or freeze mode, you're more impressionable, you're more suggestible, and the commercial comes on twice as loud as the programming, correct?
That's true.
And they want to sell you stuff. You know what I've taught my kids to do ever since they were little when they would watch cartoons? As soon as the commercial comes on, guess what happens to it? It gets muted. Because now, if you let that play in the background, even now, I can't stand it. What was that? Yeah, this morning I was trying to write out some Christmas cards that I'm sending to you guys. I wanted to put the music on, right? And on YouTube, so the first thing that comes up. So I had one like a playlist, but each playlist was only 3 minutes. Guess what was in the middle of each line? Yeah, I'm like, no, I can't stand this. I shut it down. I found some other one without the commercials in it, right? So you have to control what comes into your body, what comes into your mind, because otherwise it becomes unconscious. Correct? Who drove here? Okay, you drove here, right? Okay, so guess what? Did you have to think about driving here? You just got here. You got in your car. You didn't go, all right, Derek, hold on. Shh, shh. Shh. You weren't like thinking. It was automatic, yeah? Because how long have you been driving?
A long time.
A long time. Ever since you were a teenager, correct?
Yes.
Because you're conditioned now. That is what's called unconscious competence. You don't want anything coming into your nervous system that becomes conditioned without your permission. The things we're going to be teaching you tonight are principles. Principles that can help you make good decisions about your health. So when you make good decisions, you get good outcomes. Otherwise, you become a victim of your environment out there. Medicare says that 90% of the healthcare dollars are spent on the last 2 months of your life trying to keep you alive. Is that a good way to spend your money? Shouldn't you be going on vacations, being healthy, enjoying yourselves, being philanthropic, giving to others in need? Isn't that right? That's the way the money should be spent, not trying to keep you alive 90% of it when you're dying already. So our goal for you is to make sure that when you leave here this evening, not only are you knowledgeable, but you now understand principles, and then the preceding seminars as well will be doing the same thing, because you need to be re-educated. You don't want to be educated the wrong way. That's been happening, since before you got here. So our topic this evening is Healed by the Light, Peak Performance and Injury Prevention using the cold laser. Before we start, I always try to share our mission statement. Our mission statement is to provide you with the best technology in holistic health and life care. Hold on a second here. And our goal is to inspire people to live thriving lives so they can be a beacon of hope for others. What do you think that means? Do you want to live a life that's just getting by, or do you want to be thriving in it?
You want to throw it in.
Right, because if you're thriving, don't you want to help someone else? If you're just struggling yourself, you can't help somebody else. If you're stuck on the side of the road because you have a flat tire, how are you going to help somebody else? Right? And most of us, that happens to most of us. If we're not creating a proactive life and planning it, guess what happens? You don't just go, hey, Elise, let's go, let's get in the car. Let's head to Florida. All right, let's start driving. You just do that?
No.
How much gas do you have? How much time do we need? When do we need to stop? Is there a hotel on the way? Right? Don't you plan that?
Yes.
Finances. When am I going to retire? How much money do I need to make? Correct?
Yes.
Going to college. How much tuition is going to be? How long is it going to be? How much do we need to borrow? How much do let's call it? Correct?
Yep.
What have you done to plan for your life, for your health? Nothing. So you wonder why you're sick? You plan everything else with detail except how to be healthy. You need to be aware that going forward, not only will you be here to get better, but you'll also be here to learn the principles of how from now on for the rest of your life to follow laws of the body and how to heal so you can benefit from it. And guess what? Not everybody's going to want to do it. So don't waste your energy trying to convince people. All your goal is to live this. When you live this, then people will know that you're living it, and if they're curious about it, they'll ask you questions. But otherwise, going forward, just live this. Those of you online, please type your questions in, and in the comments section, we'll answer those for you later. And later on, if you find value or become inspired by anything that we do, comment on there so we can have a conversation, and also like us. And if you have any friends and family members that need to hear about this information, because there are many of them out there that are very hopeless and are struggling, please share this information with them by tagging them or forwarding this information to them online. And if you yourself want to connect with a community, please connect with us. We'll give you the information at the end of the seminar. First of all, I want to thank Dr. Spencer. He's my mentor. He was the Tour de France chiropractor who got the Tour de France championship 8 years in a row. And the technology that he used in there, one of the most important things he did was the cold laser. I was very fortunate in 2008 when he retired from the tour. He was able to share with me the information that used to be proprietary that got them to 8 championships in a row. Right now when you watch NFL, like somebody gets hurt, they put him in the blue tent.
Yeah, yep.
Right, because they don't want you to see what's going on, right? They don't want you to be curious. Well, that's what they used to do with the laser. But when he retired, he began teaching it to us, and I was one of the early doctors to learn that from him. And I've been using it. What is that now? 11 years, right? 12, almost 12 years, because it's 2008 when we began that. So I owe my debt to him tremendously. So, question: how do we get injured when we exercise, perform, or compete? Keep that in the back of your head. And why don't some people get better even if they go into rehab? You notice that? Like, for example, the people I would really want to work with are the Philadelphia Eagles. So if you guys online know anybody there, you'll see these injuries happen to these athletes even though they have the high level of rehab. They have, best doctors on there, and exercise physiologists and orthopedists. The things that we're going to be doing this evening are something they're not incorporating because it's not on their radar. Well, the way we use the laser is different, and we'll do a demonstration today, than what they use compared to this point and shoot, right? So there are many ways you can use the laser. The thing that Dr. Spencer used with these guys is to actually increase their body's capacity to communicate with itself so the repairs can happen. Otherwise, you just getting re-injured again and again, and especially with non-contact injuries. So we're going to discover tonight how you can heal and recover faster by using the laser, and also how you can avoid injuries in the future and get stronger by utilizing the technology that we will be sharing with you. Here's the mechanism, and you experienced this today. Remember that? So you said, My ankles feels like it's separate from the rest of my body. So if you have a long-term chronic injury and you don't fix it neurologically as well, and not through the spine as well, so the body then tries to protect that area, correct? And what it does, it inhibits different muscles in the body to protect the area, because otherwise if you don't inhibit those muscles, you'll break a joint. You get it? Because it's out of alignment. So now the body memorizes that as a new pattern. Here's the point of the body. The whole purpose of you is to be upright, because if you're upright, you can go hunt for your food and you won't die, correct? If you're on the ground and you're injured, I've fallen, I can't get up, remember that? So you will die. So the body's purpose is to keep you upright. Now you could be hobbling, you could be crooked, but if you can move and mobilize, you can get your food and you'll continue to survive. You might not be thriving, but you'll still be surviving. You get it?
Yes.
And that's what happens to the body when you have a chronic injury that you don't reset the whole nervous system. It stays in a broken mode. And you just get worse and worse and worse over time. I mean, aren't all of you guilty of that right now? I mean, I know I was before I found out about this.
Mm-hmm.
Because nobody teaches this stuff. Here's the mechanism. The mechanistic model of crisis care is the body's a machine. It's made out of parts. It's going to break down. And the doctor's job is to keep tweaking it until you can't fix it anymore. True? That's the mechanistic model. You're just pieces of parts. The vitalistic model is that the body is a healthy, self-healing, innately aware organism. And it's self-healing. And that's controlled to the nervous system. And that if you maintain the integrity of the nervous system, the body will stay self-healing. If you interfere with the nervous system's capacity to heal, the body will begin to break down because it loses that self-awareness. Get it? So that's the difference. We look at the body as an organism that's self-healing. The traditional model, the crisis care model, looks at the body as a piece of machinery that's just going to break down as the years go by. And you'll find out, you're just beginning care now, you'll find out as the years go by, you're going to be older, but you're going to be healthier than when you started. And that's going to go against everything you've ever known, right? As you get older, you get sicker, you get fatter, you get whatever, right? And you get like, and that's true if you don't understand the mechanism. And we're here to share that information with you. Okay. The most important thing you need to understand is that your nervous system controls everything in your body, correct? So it's really you buy a computer, and it's the master controller. Nothing works without it. So if you look at Gray's Anatomy's definition here, everybody read that. What controls function? What controls function? Everybody read that out loud.
Brain and nervous system coordinate.
The function of all tissues, cells, and systems in the body. And here's the most important thing. What does that mean? Adaptation. You adapt your nervous system. Without your nervous system, you can't feel anything. You get it? There are people that are born without being able to feel pain, correct? It's rare. And what happens is that they just bump into everything, they bruise, they break bones and so on, because there's no messages getting to the nervous system of that interference. On a smaller level, so when you have misalignments in your spine, the nervous system becomes tense, it becomes inflamed, because what really should happen, there should be brain communication and tissue organization where you have 100% what? Function. But if you have interference from misaligned vertebrae, which are very slight, by the way, will these vertebrae misaligned, do they hurt right away? No. Because there's ounces of pressure on the nerve will begin to dysfunction without even you knowing it within 1 to 2 minutes. And that's really critical to understand. This is what Dr. Chang Ha-Su did studies in the University of Colorado. Put your hand out like this. Pretend that's a nerve, okay? Put your pinky on top. Okay. That pinky is equal to 40 millimeters of mercury, right? And that will decrease the function of that nerve by 60% in 1 to 2 minutes. How are you going to know there's any problems? Get it? No, next thing you know, you're twisting ankles. Next thing you know, you have a bunion. Next thing you know, you have a knee issue. Next thing you know, you have a shoulder issue. You get it? But you're not connecting it to the nerves because you don't feel anything. You understand? You can put your arm down now. So it's really see what I'm talking about? I'm giving you information that's scientific. I'm giving you information that's based on principle. So whatever information comes to you from now on, you can filter it through these things because this is what's true. You need to learn how to think, correct? So, what effect does misalignment in the spine have on your health? Dr. Henry Windsor in 1921 was a pathologist at the University of Pennsylvania, and he studied cadavers that have died of many different causes. What does a pathologist do anyway? What do they study? Dead people, right?
Yeah.
So they study dead people that have died. They want to know what pathology, what sickness caused that death. So they would take, for example, liver cancer or kidney disease or heart disease. They would take the organ. They would take the organ, trace the nerve from that organ to the spine, and guess, in almost 100% of the equation, guess what he found? In almost 100% of the people that died, that part of the spine connected to the organ had a small scoliosis, which means there was a lot of tension in the nerve, or arthritis, meaning it's been there for a long time. If you've had nerve supply diminished in that area, that means that organ is not going to function well. But you know what? You wait 40, 50, 60 years, right? And then you wonder why the organs begin to fail. But where do you think it's coming from? It's coming from your nervous system. Can you see the principle here?
Yes.
Like you said, when you walked in this morning, like, nobody ever told me my nervous system needs to be maintained. They tell you your car needs to be maintained, your house needs to be maintained, everything needs to be maintained, your teeth, your hair, your clothes. They don't tell you your nervous system. It's the only most important thing in the world, correct? Do you think anything has changed since 1921 over the biology?
No.
It's the same thing. The body hasn't changed ever since the beginning of time. The body's the body. The thing is, how are you going to take care of it from now on with the knowledge you now you have gained? Because when you have subluxations in the body, the brain and tissue cells begin to diminish in function. It becomes a slow cancer-like death because you don't even know there's anything wrong until it's too late. You get it? What are 3 things that are an example of something really dangerous that's not painful, but it's dangerous to your health? What kind of diseases? Give me one.
Diseases.
What diseases are dangerous that don't have symptoms until sometimes it's too late?
Heart attack, strokes.
Heart attack, strokes, right? What else? Diabetes?
Yeah.
How about cancer?
Yeah.
How many people do you know are quote unquote healthy, right? And they say, oh, we found something, you have 6 months to live. Felt fine. You understand? Subluxations are just as dangerous. When your spine gets misaligned and you start pressing on those nerves, it's just as dangerous because you don't know until the organ fails. You can have only 20% kidney function before you even know there's something wrong. Do you realize that? You can have only 20% kidney function and liver function before you even know there's anything wrong. So we're always waiting because we've never been educated. So the most important thing is keep your nervous system clear because, again, that's your biocomputer. Everything runs through there. Here's the thing. Ideally, you should be born with optimal health. But when you have subluxations in your spine, which means the spine misaligns, the muscles begin to contract, the bone starts interfering with the nerve becomes pinched, right? The nerve system becomes interfered with. Then what happens to the body?
Malfunction.
Right, but there's no pain yet. You get it? It's just not working quite right. And then you lose your health, and look what happens last. Down here. Isn't that what we're focusing on?
Yeah.
Look at all the commercials going to come on tonight if you watch TV, which I don't anymore, right? I choose what I watch because I don't want to be influenced. They tell you that the answer to your problems is to get rid of what? Your symptoms. Is that true? Don't you want to be healthy first? Don't you want the body to be functioning better? Don't you want the nerve system to be healthy? Don't you want to make sure you're not subluxated so you can be up? Can you see the equation here? I didn't make this up. This is the way things work. If you don't understand the mechanism, you're going to be in trouble. And then you're going to waste time, you're going to waste energy, you're going to suffer unnecessarily because nobody's telling you the truth. Make sense?
Yes.
Okay. So there's 6 components that's going to allow you to either be healthy or be sick. What's your issue right here that you're coming in with, or those will be online? Put your issue right there, right, that you've not been able to get help with. There's always going to be a physical component. There's always going to be a biochemical component or nutritional deficiency. There's also going to be influences of electromagnetic frequencies, Wi-Fi, 5G that's coming out now, right? All the TV screens and the computer screens and the phone screens and so on. That's small amounts of frequencies that are man-made that your body was never supposed to be exposed to. You understand? And it creates different frequencies in the body that creates sickness in the body. Also, can you remember when we were like 3rd grade or so? What if I told you, hey Lise, someday you're gonna have to buy bottled water? What would you have told me? You're crazy. Why would I buy bottled water, right?
Yeah.
Now you can't drink anything anymore. I mean, I just pulled up an article somebody sent me, a Malvern patch in our area here, and it said they found cancer-causing contaminants in our water. They can't filter for that. You understand? So the odds are against us, but that's why we exist as a practice, to try to help you make sense of all this stuff, instead of becoming, look, you work so hard in your life, you put your kids through school, you enjoy, you want to be able to see your grandkids, right? And it's a tragedy. You're 50, 60 years old, you don't even make it because you're sick, because nobody told you how to be healthy. But you have lots of money, lots of cars, but then you can't use it.
Sure.
Because you're in the hospital with tubes sticking out of you, and you're spending all your money trying to keep alive. 90% of the money that you have, like Medicare says, right? So very critical to see that. So allergies and infections become an autoimmune issue after a while, because if your body's beginning to break down. And also the most important thing is emotions. Who here agrees with me this is the most stressful in our lives ever in the whole world right now? The environment, correct? I mean, you can't control anything. It's crazy out there, and that's why I really try not to be influenced by the media, because they'll just make you crazy. And the thing is, see who is in front of you and take care of that person, one person at a time. That's the best thing you can do, and pray for everybody that you can pray for. So these are the 6 components that actually influence your health. If these buckets are full, you're going to be sick. If these buckets become empty, which is our goal, then you can be healthy. And there has to be strategies in how you do that. So tonight, we're going to be focused and go deep on the technology that we use, which is the cold laser. And this is it right here. And you can see that? The power of the laser. What is it? So what does the low-level laser do? So laser stands for light amplification by stimulated emissions of radiation, meaning the light transfers between location. Don't let radiation, get you all upset, but radiation just means that it's light transferring from one to the other. It's like microwave radiation, X-ray radiation, sun radiation. You get it? It's transferring photons. Like when you got into the sun, photons transfer to you and you feel warm. It's the same thing. So that's what laser means. So why is the laser red? The wavelength of the laser is it's in the visible spectrum of 635 nanometer frequency. What do you think is 635 nanometers significant? That's the frequency of healing in the body. So we take the frequency and introduce it to the body and goes, oh, that's a healing frequency. You get that? Do you ever hear about, people don't do this anymore, because remember the Sopranos? They would sing and the glass would break. They didn't even touch it.
Yeah.
What's happening? How does that happen? What's the mechanism?
High frequency.
But the frequency of their notes that they could hit is matching the bonds that hold the glass together. So if you match that frequency, you disturb the bonds that hold the glass together and it breaks. You didn't touch it, you can't see it, you can hear it. You get it?
Yeah.
So everything is about frequency. So the 635 nanometer frequency with the laser is the power that's used for healing. Okay? So the 5 milliwatt power does not vibrate or heat tissue. That's why it's called the cold laser. It's very low amount of power, but the frequency, get the frequency? The power is low, but the frequency is high. You get that? And that's why you can't injure yourself or heat yourself. There's some class 4 lasers that are very hot, and that's more for like PT and repair, tissue repair. This is a different type of laser that is very safe, and we've been using it since 2008. So why does the laser, what is the low level laser? It restores health by doing what? It decreases inflammation. What else does it do?
Increases
Yep,
oxygen.
increases oxygen in the body. and it promotes muscle calcium intake. When you put the laser on there, the muscles will attract more calcium to the area, which allows, and it increases neurotransmitter release. Neurotransmitters are the body's way of allowing the body to heal and also repair. It also stimulates mitochondria. What is mitochondria? That's the power cell of the body, and so you can increase cell communication. So how does the low level X work? So it passes through the skin, and it stimulates cell energy production of the mitochondria, and it creates more energy. So the body, when it has more energy, can begin to repair. It's like, you know what it's like? Let's say you have some debt in your credit card and you pay it off. You get it? So you're creating more energy in there to pay off the credit card, then you have more energy to spend more money, which you shouldn't do because it's Christmas, so be careful. So just an analogy, doesn't mean you should do that. So how does the level lifts work? It improves tissue growth. It enhances cell nutrition, because again, when you put mitochondrial ATP in there, it increases it, and it extends the cell life. It allows the tissue to heal. We've used that laser for warts, we've used it for burns, we've used it for chronic pain, acute injuries, burns. I mean, very common. I'm always burning myself, like trying to cook something in the oven. I just have the laser all the time, and just like, or you get a wound, laser it right away. It's like it scabs over pretty quickly. It's pretty amazing. I'm surprised not everybody uses this thing. So how does it strengthen muscle? When you increase the cell energy by stimulating energy production centers or mitochondria to generate energy, the nerve and the nerve tissue is used to the muscle. So this way, when you stimulate the nerve and generate energy, and then it allows the muscle to strengthen, because now you're giving it more frequency by using the light. Okay, and where you can use it through clothing, right? And why is that? Because watch this, right? Pretend, this is just like a piece of clothing, but imagine this. This is my thumb, right? Ready? You think that'll go through clothing? You go into tissue and bone, and those photons are going right into your eye. Can you see that?
Yeah.
That's why it can go through clothing, which is nice. So you don't have to like take your clothes off to use it. Unless you want to, but that's optional. So it has 45 billion light particles, which are subatomic particles, correct? Right? Light is a subatomic particle. It's very small, and the photons per second are 45 billion every time you shoot the laser. Okay, and it passes through clothing to create a therapeutic effect. So why can't you feel it? Because it doesn't create heat or vibrate tissue. That's why you can't feel it. But it just allows the communication to be restored. It just tells the body. It's almost like, Lisa, what? It's not, Lisa! That's a hot laser, right? You understand? It's just like a little whisper saying, pay attention. Okay, got it. You get it?
Mm-hmm.
So that's what it does. And patients experience less pain as a consequence of that, and you have more strength and better joint movement, because it's giving the body energy to use as it's necessary. Additional benefits of the laser: increased protein production, healthy cell growth, wound healing, tissue regeneration, increased circulation, increased immune function. You can actually increase the white blood cell function as well, which is healing. And also axonal regeneration. If you have a nerve cell that's damaged in the area, it creates new nerve connections as well. Really amazing instrument here. Why not use a laser pointer? Because a laser pointer, I have one right here. See? Right? It doesn't generate enough energy. It doesn't have the frequency, right? So it's still 5 milliwatt probably, but it doesn't have the frequency behind it. It's just a little battery in here compared to this. Look how heavy the sucker is. Hold that. Right? Now, hold that there. Yeah, let me see, Jeff. Thank you. So yeah, that's what we use right there. It has two sides. The one is preset. It's set to a certain frequency. This one is a programmable one. So we have different programs that you can put in depending on what conditions you want to use it for. Additional benefits: the laser modulates cortisol levels. It's anti-inflammatory. So therefore, if you have a lot of inflammation, it lowers the inflammation. We already talked about the white blood cell count. And are we going backwards? Yeah, we are going backwards. Just testing you guys. It's a deja vu experience, wasn't it? Okay. Okay. Talked about that already. Wait, are we going?
I don't think, I
Yeah,
think
yeah,
it was
Okay,
together.
okay. All right. Okay. So I think this is just repeating it. Okay. Why can't you feel it? We talked about that already. Yeah, when's the best time to use it? Immediately after an injury. According to the research, if you have an injury, let's say like you bang your knee, as soon as you do something, right, you cut yourself, or one of my patients here, a friend of my son, used to work at Nectar over here, and he was trying to be a sous chef, right? He was always chopping his fingers off, so he would always come with like, go to the ER and like would laser it and so on and let it heal, really rapidly. One time, like he chopped the tip of it and he was able to like recover it, by using the laser. It's pretty interesting. 4 to 6 hours after an injury, you can heal faster, 50% faster. Okay, so chronic injuries to reduce pain, improve muscle strength, increase joint movement as well. So the Erconia low-level technology, which is the laser we have here, is the first laser approved by the FDA for chronic pain. It's a patented dual generated beam. You can see here it has 2 beams, but each beam has 2 frequencies. So there's 4 frequencies that are going in there right now. And then you can pick and choose what frequency you want depending on the condition that's necessary. It's also scientifically proven to be 635 nanometer wavelengths. You have to, because somebody can claim that's a wavelength, how are you going to test it? So it's been making sure that it's tested properly. There's 60 FDA market clearances. There's 4 pending, and it's proven through level 1 clinical trials. And ISO certified means that you can guarantee that what you're claiming is basically what it is. You have to be able to pass the testing, because anybody can claim something. Like for example, a lot of vitamins out there, like you buy, Amazon actually admitted to that you buy things from there that are like made in different places, and you can't validate that the potency is the way it is, because now you're trying to save money and it's a deficient product. So with the laser that we use, it's been around for a long time, and it's very reliable. So biological effects of laser. So this is an article here. It's kind of small, but I'm going to read it to you. Let me see if I can go further. Okay. So one of my first eye-opening experience with low-level lasers in the wound recovery was in a burn patient. As a plastic surgeon and medical director of a burn and wound center, I see large numbers of acute and chronic burn injuries as well as wounds of various etiologies. One gentleman had a home fire that melted his carpet, and he was forced to walk across it in bare feet to get out of his home. He presented with very deep foot burns and severe pain. He was on chronic narcotics due to an old back injury, so he didn't go to chiropractor. So I knew his pain would be difficult to manage. At presentation, his pain was exceptionally severe, and the bottoms of his feet were purple, swollen, and sloughing skin. Within 2 minutes of treating with a 635 nanometer Erconia cold laser, his pain decreased by self-reported 75%, and his skin went from blue and purple to pink right before our eyes. As you can imagine, our jaws dropped. This particular laser has been a part of my practice ever since. And this is actually a picture of that gentleman right there. This is, can you imagine? He ran out of this, he stepped on and then this is 11 days later, they put grafts on it and they lasered it, right? And this is 28 days post-surgery with 6 lasers. And again, 60% decrease in pains average over treatments. So what it does, again, is it restores communication between the cells, and then the body then repairs itself without any side effects, because it doesn't produce heat and it doesn't vibrate the tissue. They actually did a study with mice. So what they did is poor mice, right? So they would take 2 pairs of mice. They would burn their front paws each side. I know, not very nice. Sacrifice the animals there. This would be the non-lasered group, where they would measure how long it would take for that to heal. And this is the lasered group. This is what they did. They only lasered the left side. So what they found is that even though the wounds were both sides, this healed 66% faster than these guys that didn't get lasered. But you know what else? This side that they didn't laser healed just as fast. Meaning it's systemic. Because if you look at the body, it's basically a microcurrent. It's also a matrix of, it's like a bag of tissue that communicates with each other. That's really what the body's made out of. So when you influence one part of the body, it goes throughout your whole body, which is nice. So this is the way we do the myotome upregulation. Those of you that are here have experienced this already. We did that with you. Remember that with the stacking? So you can get the communication to be restored. So this way the body can actually heal more optimally. And so let me see if we can do upright. Hey, are you okay with demonstration? If you're okay, you can do it. If not, we can do somebody else.
I guess I'll do it.
Yeah, because you've never had this before. You've been perfect because these guys have already been adjusted. Yeah. So come here. Let me show you something. So stand right here, face in that direction, right?
That direction?
Yeah, this way. Yeah, that's perfect right there. So now I'm going to lower this. So we're going to check the function of your neck. This is called upregulation. So hold this arm up. There's no injury in the shoulder, right?
I just had my rotator cuff.
Oh, turn around this way. So let's not do that then. So go here, hold this arm, lock the elbow, straight like this. We're going to use this as an indicator muscle. So we're going to use the deltoid muscle. I'm going to pull this, push this down, and you hold and resist me. Hold strong. And just use about 2 to 5 pounds of pressure. Good. Now I want you to bend your head down. Hold strong. See how that goes weak? Look straight ahead. Hold strong. Right? Head down. Goes weak. That means there's stress in your nervous system. And it's not communicating, which will affect the nerves coming out of your neck, to your shoulders, to your elbow, to your wrist, and then damage the tissue there. Right? Head back. Hold it. Back to the middle. That one's fine. Turn left. Hold it. Fine. Turn right. That's not good. You see? Turn left again. Fine. Turn right. Not good. Look straight ahead. Tilt sideways. Hold it. That's not working. Tilt that way. Can you see all these asymmetries? If you're a car that's the front end, like you wouldn't pass inspection right now until we get you aligned. Do you understand? So here's what we're going to do. Feel that? There's no pain. There's no freak, right? We're just going to go ahead and put that in those different parts of the body. And what we're doing is we're restoring communication between the tissue and your brain. And watch now. Hold strong. Bend your head down. Still weak. Stay there. Hold again. See the difference there? Hold again. Right? Mm-hmm. Head back all the way. Tilt sideways again. Tilt sideways. Turn that way. Turn that way. How long did that take?
Not long.
Do you understand? And that's just one setting. So good. Thank you. Thank you for. And so that's what the upregulation is. So what just happened there is that we restored communication. The most important thing is communication. If the body's not communicating, if the nerves, the brachial plexus is not communicating with your shoulder's going to wear out. Does that make sense? And no matter, here's the thing, if you had surgery on it, you're repairing it, it's going to linger unless you restore the nerve supply. Does that make sense? So you want that to heal as quickly as possible. Any questions about that? Did you have any questions, Derek? Because you said you had a question before.
No.
Does that answer some of the information about how it works? Okay, if you have any, just both of you, all of you, just go ahead. And so another thing we do is kinesio taping or fascial movement taping. We've already used that on you. But what we do is we use taping to allow movement patterns to stabilize after you've been adjusted. And we use that for guys too that are using like CrossFit or athletes that want to perform at the better level without injuring themselves. So what other things can, look at these list of what laser has been proven to work. Right? Goes on and on and on. So who can benefit from lasers? So if you have people that you know who are athletes who have chronic pain issues, and they've not been resolved with any other practitioners, you'll see this with kids, or instructors at a gym instructors, like the aerobics instructors. They're always injuring themselves and they can't get better. And if you don't use the laser properly, if they're not getting lasered properly and you're not getting your nerve system taken care of, they don't heal and they end up having to quit. Or semi-pro athletes who want something the team doesn't offer. We talked about it already. For example, there's some people probably with the Philadelphia Eagles that are injured and they can't get back on the field because the technology they have doesn't include this. Now, the laser they have might be point and shoot to make it feel better, but it doesn't get the body to communicate like we just did with you, Derek. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And there are many different levels of upregulation that we can use so that when that body's communication is restored, now it's in healing mode. If your body's not communicating, you're in defense mode, right? If you're in defense mode, you're not in healing mode, because you can't be in both, right? You're either chilling out, hanging out with your friends, or you're waiting for somebody to come break in your door. You can't do both. So when your body gets injured, becomes chronically injured, you have subluxations, you're always in defense. You're always in chronic pain. You're always suffering, and you become hopeless. Isn't that true?
Yes.
It's like, oh my gosh, I've been to all these doctors and doing all these practitioners and it's not helping. So that's what gives us an edge when we use the upregulation with the laser. It gets the body to communicate with itself. And athletes young and old who want to avoid, it's another thing. Well, you know with Nathan, when his nephew here came in here, he was playing soccer. He couldn't run because his ankles would hurt so much. There was nothing wrong with his ankles. We upregulated him, we adjusted him, and now he's played tonight out in the rain. They're practicing out in the rain right now. You know what I mean? And it's a very common thing. I have one other girl, she was 11 years old, and she was a cheerleader. Chronic ankle injuries, they did diagnose it as osteochondritis. They did surgery on it. It didn't work. They said we have to do another surgery. She got over here, we took care of her. I think it was last year before she went away to college. She actually was pain-free and she was able to perform, and the whole team won first place in the competition. Right? And again, the thing is, it's not because that we have something special. We understand how the body works. You have to work with the body, not against it. You don't think that because you have so many degrees that you're better than the body. You have to honor it. Honor it and follow the principles of how it heals, right? So, you know this guy?
Yes.
It's pretty slow. No,
Yeah.
just a second. So he's been declared the fastest man in the world. He won so consistently in the 100-meter distance throughout his career. His nickname was Lightning Bolt. So Usain had won 6 Olympic gold medals, never placing silver or bronze. He was really top of the chain there. And other world championships, he collected 8 first-place wins and 2 second-place as well. As a young man, he used to have scoliosis, and he really couldn't perform because he was in constant pain. When he was younger, he said, I know it gets worse, my spine was really curved. He said, the early part of my career, when we didn't really know much about it, it really hampered me because he got injured every year. But that's his chiropractor. So he gets adjusted on a regular basis. Instead of using a brace, he uses chiropractic care, and he said, not only is he able to bounce back from injuries, it helps his performance. He said, as long as I'm in great shape, nobody beats me for sure, and that's what he uses, is to get his nervous system to communicate with itself. And you know what? You don't have to be an athlete to, don't we all deserve to have a fully functioning nervous system? Why do they only have to be the ones that get the benefit of that? You know, it's not unreachable. This is some of the athletes that I worked with. This was the Harlem Wizards that used to go to Conestoga High School to perform there. I donated my time to help them at one time. That was really short, so this is a long time ago when I had more hair. So here's some studies in terms of when you take care of your nervous system. Have you read this, Grace? No, I'm just kidding. So you can't read that. It's like, so this is a study in 1975. Dr. Ron Perot, and he was a scientist who was a cancer researcher, and he measured the effect of chiropractic care on the immune system. He adjusted people for 5 years, right? Not based on pain, but to be sure they were not subluxated. Make sure they had a clear nervous system. He measured their immune system. he measured them in 25 different ways. I'm going to mention 2 because we don't have time to discover everything. The one measurement was what's called unscheduled DNA synthesis, meaning if your immune system is strong because your DNA repairs itself, you don't then make bad cells or oncogenes which create cancer cells. So that's called unscheduled DNA synthesis. The second one he called glutathione transferase S. It's an enzyme in your body that if you have high levels of it, you can have capacity to ward off pollution, and the body doesn't then, and toxins in the environment. So it just detoxifies your system. So he measured 25 of those parameters. Okay, here's the thing. He took cancer people that had diagnosis of cancer. He measured their immune system. He took the chiropractic group that did not have cancer, and he measured their immune system that had been adjusted for 5 years under chiropractic care. He took the control group, no cancer, but no chiropractic care. And here's what he found, right? The chiropractic patients had how many percent greater immune competence
200.
than the people who did not receive chiropractic care? And how many percent with the cancer people?
400.
400%. You go, oh, that's impossible. How can that be? Well, they've done other studies, and basically DNA repair, if your DNA can repair itself, right, then that means you don't get sick. Because of DNA, it's what creates proteins in your body and creates different cells. And if your DNA gets broken, then you get sick. So chiropractic care has been proven to help your DNA repair. This is a good article here. This is March 2016 in the Discovery. This is actually Virginia Tech. They did the study on. Ready? Read that. What does it say?
They'll have to rewrite the textbooks.
Watch this. You ready? They have to rewrite the textbooks. It's a stunning discovery that overturns decades of textbook teaching. Researchers at the School of Medicine have determined, listen to this, everybody repeat this, ready? That the brain is directly connected to the immune system by vessels previously thought not to exist. In 2016, that was like, almost 4 years ago. Right? Ready? I really did not believe the structures in the body that we're not aware of. I thought the body was mapped, said Jonathan Kipnis, a professor in the Department of Neuroscience and the director of University Center for Brain Immunology and Glia. How these vessels could have escaped detection when the lymphatic system has been thoroughly mapped throughout the body is surprising on its own. What did it say? The brain and the immune system are one and the same thing. And that's what validated Dr. Perot's study from 1975. Because the criticism was, oh, those chiropractors, 1975, like all the hippies, right? It's like, oh, this is not chiropractic care. Those people that go to chiropractors eat nothing but granola. You know what I mean? So it was their diet that made them healthy, not the chiropractic care. Well, studies, this has nothing to do with chiropractic. You understand? So when you get adjusted, everything believe. And that's why, you know what? People, oh, have you ever worked with this condition? Like, I don't care what it is. She said somebody here with any condition, we don't fix that condition. What do? Get the body to be healthy, because if the body healthy, it's going to help itself repair. You get it?
Yeah.
It's a really unique thing, because think about this. Think of the innate intelligence of the body. Let's say you cut yourself, right? Do you have to go, heal, heal? Do you have to say that? What happens if you start bleeding? What happens if you're healthy? What happens? In a few seconds, it starts to clot.
Yeah, it clots up.
Right?
Yeah.
And you have to think like, oh wait, white blood cells? Wait, hold on a second. Do you have to think about letting it clot? It does it automatically. The body's self-healing if the messages are getting through. You get it?
Yes.
And the immune system's the same thing. Brandon, before you know him, before he started coming here, is another older, he's in college now. Before he got adjusted, he was sick all the time. He was the sick boy. Always sick. Allergies, sick, right? Do you remember him? Yeah.
Since a kid.
Since he was a kid. You knew him longer than I have. And he started getting adjusted and he stopped getting sick. Happens all the time. Kids with ear infections all the time. Colic, ADD, ADHD, and you see what I mean? Allergies, asthma. I mean, we don't treat those symptoms. We just get the body to heal because the immune system and nerve system are one and the same thing. Isn't that cool though?
Makes sense.
I love it because it's no side effects. We don't kill anyone. You know what I mean? So because we don't hurt anyone, because we don't induce anything that's dangerous into the body, it allows us to heal. So here's the thing before we close. This is a heavy burden to me. You know why? those of you that are here now, and thank you for attending this seminar, are better off than people that when you came in here. Is that true?
Yes.
Now you have the principles, and now you can start trusting your body and stop living in fear. Stop living in fear. You're going to live in fear because you don't know. You don't know. If you're out stuck in the middle of the road out of nowhere, you will be in fear. But if you know exactly where you're going, you're fine. But you know what? The challenge is I can't reach everyone. That's why we try to do this online. You need to be the ambassadors. You need to be speaking to people that are challenged out there, or even better, your kids and your grandchildren. They should be under care from the very beginning, not because they have an issue, but because it's the right thing to do. Don't you want them all to be healthy? You know, think about a baby. If you have a baby that's been subluxated just once, and you take that subluxation away in a very gentle way, that subluxation or nerve interference is gone forever. Think about that. How powerful that is. Those of us that are here, sitting here, we're now in the 4 decades of our lives. Get it? We've had 5 decades of damage to our nervous system. And that's why it takes forever. It's like, oh, it spends more time and money and energy. If you take care of a baby, I have kids now that are like in their late 20s now that have been taken care of since they were born. They're the healthiest kids around. And they live a holistic lifestyle. They've known nothing but chiropractic care. You get it? So it's really important to know that. So we need your help. We're asking your help to try to share it with many people as possible. We don't want you to tell them to come here as patients. We need you to talk to them and have them come to seminars. Have them watch this online so they can have the knowledge. Therefore, when they get in trouble, they know where to go instead of, oh, I'm just going to go to a specialist, as opposed to, how can my body heal itself? And we have other seminars that will teach you other different things, how to eat properly, how to exercise properly, and what nutrients to take, what tests you can do to make sure that you stay healthy. So to close again, we're here to provide you with the best technology in holistic health and life care. And we're here to inspire you to live thriving lives so you can be a beacon of hope for others. Again, online, please type your questions in so we can answer those for you. And if you were inspired by anything that we talked about tonight and looked at the handsome Derek here as an example, please give a comment. And how handsome do you think he is? And give a 1 to 10. 10 is most handsome. 1 is not as handsome. But don't go below 5, so you don't want to upset him. So, and if you have any friends out there that thought Derek was handsome, share this information with them as well, and just tag them on this. And if you want to connect with us here, please connect with us. We are on Facebook, we are on YouTube, Instagram. We have 2 Facebook pages, Mariano Holistic Life Center, and also that's our fan page, and Dr. Dennis Mariano is where we're able to share with you good information. I don't have a personal page anymore because it's a waste of time gossiping people on there. My goal, our goal in our practice is to educate people to save their lives, because there's a lot of desperation out there in this world. And if you're not sharing proper information, then people just get lost. Our website, drmariano.com. Our next seminar, which is not until the 7th, because next Tuesday is Christmas Eve. The Tuesday after that, New Year's Eve. So we won't have 2 seminars in a row. I'm going to be very sad. No, sorry. So, but how to take the guesswork, because New Year's coming, right? So we're going to teach you how to do work. Here's the thing. You'll be able to work out with weights, but aerobically at the same time. You don't have to do cardio separately. You don't have to do, you could do both. And that's what we're going to be discussing. I discovered that in my early 20s from a gentleman named Gus Carias. So you can actually get your workout done instead of working out in the gym for an hour and being tired. You can get done in like 25, 30 minutes and already have the cardio and the work. I'll be doing that tomorrow at 5 a.m. So pray for me. It's so hard to get up in the middle of the morning, right? When your bed's so warm and the pillow's so warm, and then you have to put your clothes on and it's freezing, and you have to walk out to the YMCA. It takes like 5 miles to get to the gym up there. So, but January 7th, we're going to talk about how to work out, exercise properly, and you can get really fast results, especially in today's world. Closing thoughts. This is a poem that I'd like to close with. But first of all, before we close, I want to thank everybody for being here and for being good sports, especially handsome Derek over here. So stop laughing, he is handsome. I'm just kidding. No, I'm just kidding. So, and thank you both of you for being here as well. I know that you could have been anywhere else, and watching bad TV, but at least you chose to be here. Hopefully you will benefit from this, not only now, for the future as well. The Invitation by the Oriah Mountain Dreamer. It doesn't interest me what you do for a living. I want to know what you ache for, or if you dare to dream of meeting your heart's longing. It doesn't interest me how old you are. I want to know if you will risk looking like a fool for love, for your dream, for the adventure of being alive. It doesn't interest me what planets are squaring with your moon. I want to know if you have touched the center of your own sorrow, if you have been opened by life's betrayals, or have become shriveled and closed from fear of further pain. I want to know if you can sit with pain, mine or your own, without moving to hide it or fade it or fix it. I want to know if you can be with joy, mine or your own, if you can dance with wildness and let ecstasy fill you to the tips of your fingers and toes without cautioning us to be careful, be realistic. Remember the limitations of being human. It doesn't interest me if the story you're telling me is true. I want to know if you can disappoint another to be true to yourself. If you can bear the accusations of betrayal and not betray your own soul. If you can be faithless and therefore trustworthy. I want to know if you can see beauty even when it's not pretty every day. And if you can source your own life from its presence. I want to know if you can live with failure, yours or mine, and still stand at the edge of the lake and shout to the silver of the moon, yes. Doesn't interest me to know where you live or how much money you have. I want to know if you can get up after the night of grief and despair, weary and bruised to the bone, to do what needs to be done to care for the children. Doesn't interest me who you know, how you came to be here. I want to know if you will stand in the center of the fire with me and not shrink back. Doesn't interest me where or what or whom you have studied. I want to know what sustains you from the inside when all else falls away. I want to know if you can be alone with yourself and if you truly like the company you keep in the empty moments. At the end of the 3 weeks, we don't get a yellow jersey like the people in the Tour de France, but I believe that we deserve the same type of care that they can get because it's available to us with the technology that we have now. So I want you guys to live your life before you leave here this evening. Think of somebody that you love that you haven't talked to in a long time. Just give them a call. Put your hurt aside and just let them know how much you care for them, because you never know, because tomorrow is not promised. Thank you again for being here this evening. Have a good evening. Press the button on there on the food. Have a good evening, and we'll see you on our next seminar.